Hi everybody, it's Hannah here. Surprise! I am taking over for Caroline and Carrie this week with the weekly / bi-weekly Flosstube and workshop update videos. They are both currently away in the UK at Big Stitch, probably having a fantastic time and eating scones and drinking tea. And so I am here to do a floss tube. This is really the first time I have ever done something like this. I've done a couple of videos to go with the holiday countdown the last couple of years, just cute little fun ones. And I've done one floss toss video, but I've never really done sort of like a vlog style where I'm just like in a room by myself talking to a camera. So it's gonna be an interesting time for all of us, I think. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Hannah. I have been working at Evertote since May of 2021, so I've been here for just over 3 years now. And I am a person who wears many hats. I do a lot of very different stuff around the workshop. I do most of the website maintenance. I take all of the product photos for new item listings. I do a lot of liaising with different designers. I do all of the organization for the Stitch North stuff, coordinating vendors, and doing all the numbers, making all of the registration forms and all of that stuff. I also am the one who names most of the floss, so all of those punny names you can thank me for. I'm kidding. I just love coming up with puns. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. And another thing that I do more and more now than ever is I do a lot of Roxy Floss Co flush conversions. So when you go to our website, you will see that probably a solid like 80 to 90% of the floss conversions that we currently offer on our website are done by me. I know the collection pretty well inside out and upside down and backwards in my sleep. I spend a lot of time really immersed with the floss, and then every time we have new colors that come up, I'm usually the first or second person to see them. I'm usually the one to name them. I'm the one that logs them in our new color spreadsheet. So I'm very familiar with what all of the options are, and I know what's one of a kind and what's not. And so I have the fun unofficial title of Flossboss. For those of you who do already know me, that is where my cross-stitching Instagram account name comes from. It's Flossboss Hannah. You can follow me there. I don't really post a lot. I will share stuff in my stories. I unfortunately don't stitch as much as I would like to, mostly because I'm a full-time student. I'm also doing my doctorate at Western University in classical voice performance. So I keep myself very busy, and then I'm here. So on the docket for today is I actually have some floss conversions for some charts that are new to the shop that need to be done and listed. And so I thought I would sort of take you on a day of the life of being a floss boss. So I've got 3 charts that I need to work on today. And so I thought I would, of these 3, just pick one and kind of give you like an in-depth view of sort of my process for picking colors and how I go about the general selection process. And yeah, so I've got 3 charts here from Shakespeare's Peddler, Teresa Vanette. I love her stuff, honestly. Her stuff is so fun to convert. She's got such like a great, like diverse output. I can sing so many praises for Teresa Vanette. So I've got 3 that I need to work on, and they're kind of go together, which is really nice, which makes it kind of fun for me to work on these today. So I've got Jenny Bean's Christmas sampler is one of the ones that I need to do today. I have Jenny Bean and Friends. I hope the glare's not too bad. And then last but certainly not least, I have Jenny Bean for the Parlor, The Forest. When we started bringing in designs from Shakespeare's Peddler, I was looking on her website, and as soon as I saw this, I was like, Caroline, we have to bring this one in. Like, I love this one so much. So I'm really, really excited to finally be able to do a conversion for it and hopefully sometime find the time to stitch it. So yeah, I think, I don't know which one I should pick. I might have to do a little eeny, meeny, miny, mo moment. Let's see, I'm just gonna shuffle them. I'm literally just gonna shuffle. I'm gonna let the timer just tick, 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 tick until I get to the 6-minute and 30-second mark, which is in 3, 2, 1, and whatever's on the top is the one I'm gonna do. So the one on the top is the Jenny Bean's Christmas sampler. So I know I already kind of gave you a close-up, but I will show you another close-up. It's so cute. And it's July, so why not have some fun with Christmas in July? So I guess it's time to get started. I need to fix my camera angles a little bit for this next part, so I'll just say goodbye for now and see you in 2 seconds. So the very first thing that I will do when I start a new floss conversion is, of course, I will take a look at the chart and get a really good idea of the colors as they look on the cover. Sometimes printing can kind of skew the way things look, so I'll also frequently go online and just Google a few different images of the model, either on the designer's website or if other people have stitched it and posted it on Instagram or something. I just try to give myself a few minutes to just really get a feel for what it should look like at the end of the day. The next thing I do is I will take a look at the called for colors on the back of the chart. Sometimes it's also on the inside of the chart. And I will write them down in my handy dandy conversion notebook. This is actually my second notebook now that I have used. The first one has been completely used up. So I write everything down, and then as I do the conversion, I write in the new ones. So I'm gonna get these all written out and come back in 2 seconds. So now I've got all of these colors written out. I've got my DMC thread book ready to go. You might have noticed I did actually write down the sampler threads as my sort of going off point instead of the DMC. I typically actually try to write out those first, mostly because with Weeks Dye Works or Classic Color Works or Gentle Arts, they're all hand-dyed threads, and they all have different levels of variegation. And just like us, Roxy Floss Co is a hand-dyed thread business, and there's different levels of variegation in the way that the tones sit. It's just a little bit different than the sort of very like monotone, super solid color DMC. So I always try to Google decent pictures of the overdyed threads first. And if I can't find a photo that is clear enough, then I'll refer to the DMC and try to match it up in my book. Generally, I will go to 123 Stitch to look at the photos. I find that their photos are pretty good for most thread brands in terms of like being accurate, or at least looking accurate in the way that my mind perceives them to be. I haven't seen any of these colors in person, so I can't say 100% for sure, but I also am very aware of just how difficult it is to take accurate photos of threads. It really is super impossible, even when you go and look at photos of DMC colors online. Like sometimes you'll go and look up something that's described as like hazelnut brown, and then it will literally look like neon yellow on your screen. It's just one of those things that it's just so hard to make things color accurate, especially when you have, for instance, the lighting in this room is particularly yellow. And so all of these pinks and purples look super muted on my screen, but in real life, they're actually a lot more vibrant. These literally look gray when I'm looking at them through my screen, but they're actually purple. These are all purples. And then I have, the blue tone on my screen, and the fact that iPhone cameras absolutely love draining the saturation out of colors. There's sometimes when I'm taking floss photos or linen photos, I have to spend so much time just trying to get the color right, so it's at least within the realm of the same semblance of what it actually looks like. So yeah, it's a bit of a struggle, but I do find, again, 123 Stitch, the photos that are on their website are pretty good. For those of you who may not have ever seen one of these DMC thread books or used one before, so there's a couple different versions of this book out there. So there's one that is just sort of like digital image versions of the floss, but this one actually has actual thread cards on it. And so the way that this works, it's got everything sort of grouped into color families, not in numerical order. And then there's a guide on the back of the chart here that tells you which column of the thread you can find. So say if I'm like looking for the DMC 642 is the first on this list here. So I go and look for 642, so it's in row 19. And so then I go and I look at row 19 and find it right here. And then pretty much when I'm going off of a DMC, that is my process for every single color in a chart, as I figure out where it is in this book and then find it in the column and then try to match up as best I can to our floss. Another thing that I do when I am working on a conversion is I will actually take a pretty in-depth look at the actual chart, just because I think it's important to know exactly where each color is going and going through all of the symbols to make sure that things match up, because sometimes there'll be an errata for something and you don't realize until you actually look at the chart. So it's good to just like kind of be aware of that ahead of time. And also just because it's important, at least to me, to know which colors are being stitched next to each other, because just because something is like a decent match to the DMC or the Gentle Arts colors as I sort of see and perceive them myself, it doesn't actually mean that it would necessarily look good with the other colors in the palette. So sometimes I will sort of pick everything out and then be like, oh, that like bright green really sticks out like a sore thumb and doesn't really go with the rest of the palette. So I'll pick a different green just to make sure that everything is sort of cohesive and there's nothing that seems like it's going to be really out of place when it's actually stitched up. So I won't show you the inside of the chart, of course, but so I've got my chart out of the bag. I want to convert for DMC 830 or apple cider, so it's the little greater than sign. I had to really think about that. So then I'm gonna do this off camera. Take a look at where that symbol actually is in the design. Oh, this one's only just one page. That's very handy. And then once I have found it, sometimes it can take me a while to find the symbols. Even with my glasses on, my vision's not great, admittedly. I have to hold things really embarrassingly close to my face to be able to see them when they are printed on paper, and I can't just use my phone camera to zoom in. So let's see, where is that symbol? It's not there. I think I'm just gonna stop this video and get back to you when I find it. All right, so that took me a hot minute, but I did find it. So that color, just for example, is found in this W here in the chart, as well as in the M and the N over here. It's probably in a couple other places as well, but you know, at least I was able to find the symbol, figure out some other colors that are around it. With this one, like one concern that I would put into consideration when I am picking my colors is that this W here is right next to a smaller X here, and they're kind of similar colors. They're in the same color family. The X is definitely a couple shades lighter, but I would want to first make sure that the two colors aren't too similar to each other, but also because they are next to each other, that I still want to make sure that they go together well. So that is sort of how I go through the process of selecting the colors. So I start with the called for, use the DMC chart, sort of switch things up as I feel they might be needed, and then I will go down to the floss room and pull all the floss and lay it out, pick fabric, and go from there. So I'm going to quickly finish this conversion and I will show you the results. So now, as you can see here, I've got my conversion done and ready to go. I've got the floss pulled. I've made some updates from my sort of original. I always kind of just go off of my like first instinct, and then I'll pull the floss, and if it doesn't work, then I will change it up. And also sometimes what happens is, just because of the difference in lightings in different rooms, is something will look amazing when I'm pulling it off of the floss wall downstairs, and then I'll get it into the light of my light box and I'll be like, oh, that really doesn't work. So there was, yeah, with this one, especially because there's a lot of like pinks in this, they looked great downstairs, and then I brought them up and I was like, Hannah, what were you thinking? This is my handful of reject pinks that I ended up not using. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this ended up turning out. I'm gonna give you a little close-up here of the floss, because even though I've got my exposure turned up on my camera to try to make things look a little bit more accurate, they really do look quite a bit duller when they're sitting down and kind of away from the camera. So yeah, this is what I ended up settling on for this chart. I'm really happy with it. This conversion, as well as the other two Jenny Bean ones, will be available on the website pretty much as soon as I can get them done and listed. Right now it's Thursday at 1 p.m.-ish, I think. And I'll aim to have these up by like tomorrow at noon. So tomorrow, Friday, July 26th, I think it's the 26th tomorrow. I'll aim to have them up and ready to go for noon. You'll be able to find them at www.evertote.ca in the new items section or in the Shakespeare's Peddler section of our website. It'll be listed in both spots. As well, if there's other charts that you want to see converted, please let me know. I take custom requests all the time. If you get a new chart and you really want to kit it up with Roxy Floss, I'm more than happy to do a custom conversion for you. The conversion itself, we do not charge like an extra fee for it. It's mostly just if you buy the conversion, it's just the cost of the threads and shipping. So no different than buying like any other item. We don't charge like a consultation fee or anything like that. I really like doing it. So seriously, like if there's something you've been thinking about doing for a while and maybe the called for threads don't speak to you, or maybe they're not accessible where you live, like please reach out. I'm sure that we can put something together for you that looks nice. Really all I need in terms of being able to do a conversion, if you do reach out, I need the design name, the name of the designer, and a floss list. It's really useful if you can send me a floss list, especially if you have the chart yourself, mostly because sometimes I will go online to look for the floss list and either it can't be found because it's not listed like on the designer's website, for example, or it'll be like inaccurate. Like maybe it's on 123 stitch and they forget to list a color or something like that. It's just better if you can send it to me just so that I've got all my bases covered and don't like accidentally miss a color when I'm putting everything together. And that's really it. I work on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays right now during the summer when I'm not in school. It can sometimes take me a couple of days to get back to you, especially if you email me on a weekend or on a Tuesday. I usually come back to the office with quite a few emails and it can sometimes take me a while to get through them. And I try to set out at least an hour a day to work on custom conversions when I have requests for them. But when I initially email you back, when you like first send your request, I'll always give you an idea of like the timeline of when I expect to have it ready for you. And basically the way it works is I'll do exactly what I did with this, except for most of the time I won't have a physical chart. So I'll just look at as many pictures of the chart as I can. And I'll send a photo with a list of the floss to you. And then sometimes, you know, everyone's got different tastes and different visions. If things need to be tweaked a bit, I'm always happy to do that as well. But yeah, you can reach out to me anytime for custom conversions at my email, which is hannah@evertote.ca. You can, if you do stitch any of my conversions, I really like seeing them stitched up. So please tag me on Instagram. My Instagram is @Flossboss Hannah. My name is Hannah with an H, H-A-N-N-A-H. I really love seeing people's progress, and love being tagged and stuff. So like literally tag away. Just to sort of show you a few examples of some custom conversions I've done. I will sort of insert pictures as I talk. but one particularly popular conversion that I did that was a custom, almost a year ago, if not over a year ago, New Hampshire Stitcher reached out to me for a conversion of Carriage House Sampling's garden sampler. That one's been really popular. I've had probably at least 20 people email to also purchase the conversion based off of Lauren's posting on Instagram and on YouTube. Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch is also now stitching my garden sampler conversion. Elizabeth Ann's is probably a bit different from Lauren's. This is kind of an interesting conversion that when I did it, I kind of didn't realize that it was going to get a lot of traction, so I included like a lot of one-of-a-kinds and like just whatever I thought was best without sort of considering that maybe other people in the future would want to buy it. So it's sort of evolved over time as dye lots have changed, or we no longer have some of the one-of-a-kinds. Like I know in my original conversion, I used a color called Brazen. That was a one-of-a-kind, unfortunately, and so now that's changed to a different color. Another color that's in that conversion, there's Baja, that's been changed because that color has sold out and was a one-of-a-kind. Minty Fresh. We've had some recent changes to just certain dye lots of some of the green colors, so I've sort of shifted those around a bit in the conversion, trying to sort of keep it as true as possible to the like original that I did for Lauren, and then sort of what is close and still beautiful and something that's a little bit more on our end. It's sustainable, because then I won't have to keep trying to sort of reinvent it. All of the colors that I've changed and replaced are all ones that are, you know, standard in the collection. Dye lots are very much less variable, so it's kind of a more stable conversion now that it's sort of gone through those 3 one-of-a-kinds that were in it are now like all sold out. So I'm sure between all of the people who've bought it, there's been like probably like several different iterations of it. I will put a picture of the most recent version of it here for you to see. Another conversion that I have done recently that I'm really proud of, I did for Gwyneth, who is, oh, what is her Instagram name? I will edit it in here. I just have to go look at her Instagram. For a chart called Clémence Jonot. It's a massive sampler. It's got 32 colors. It actually fully took me almost like 2 days of just sort of kind of just picking at it over time and changing things to get to something that I was happy with and was cohesive. If you go and check out Gwyneth's Instagram, she's posted a couple pictures of her stitching progress, and it looks really great so far. Those bigger palettes are always a challenge because you never really know how it's gonna look. Usually with smaller palettes, you can kind of get like a good feel for, you know, when it's stitched up, this is what it's gonna look like. But yeah, for those 32 color conversions, it can sometimes be a little bit of a gamble. But I mean, her stitching is amazing. Literally all of her stitching is always so beautiful. I will post a picture of the floss here for you. You're welcome literally at any time. If you want to purchase either of these conversions, you're more than welcome to. Some other popular ones that I've done recently, I've done a conversion for Teresa Kogut's Serenity. I've had probably 4 or 5 people ask for that one. I'm really happy with that one as well. That's another one I'm very proud of. But most of the conversions I've done, if they're not sort of just random one-offs, like they are for the most part on our website, and I really love doing them. So I hope to hear from a lot of you for custom requests. For the rest of this video, I'm gonna do kind of like a floss toss slash fabric toss, if that's even a thing. We have right now quite a few mini hanks available in the shop. And mini hanks are amazing for anybody who loves monochromatic stitching, or if you just want a lot of the same color, it's really great for that too. But if you've got, you know, like a larger modern flock embroidery sample that's like monochromatic, or like a long dog or something like that, mini hanks are really, really great. They have a 10% discount already built into the price, which is really nice. But I'm going to just show some floss and fabric duos. I'm going to take really quick pictures and throw them up onto the website. And I will add an additional 10% discount for this floss and fabric pack. I'm not going to match them to charts, but I will just sort of like in this video make a couple of suggestions of what I think, you know, might look good with these floss and fabrics. But I'm going to keep it open-ended because, I mean, there's so many amazing monochromatics, and I'm still, like, myself pretty new to the cross-stitching world. So I wouldn't want to, like, make a suggestion and then have, you know, the reality be that there's something even grander and better for this floss and fabric combination that I just didn't even realize existed. So yeah, let's get floss tossing. So I've got 4 different combinations here. Some of them I'm only going to list one of because I only have sort of one of either the fabric or the mini hank available. And a couple of them I'll have multiple sets available. So the first one that I've pulled today, I have, hopefully the colors aren't too off. Okay, that's not too bad actually. So this is our Rhymes with Orange floss. This mini hank is actually the very last that there is of like the original dye lot. So this color is about 2 years old now. So this is a kind of a hot commodity. I love this color. The original dye lot is so beautiful. And I think it looks great. This is a 36 count, half yard of rustic pistachio. I'll just try to see if I can, hopefully the photos, when I do list these, the colors will be a bit better than what you see on the screen right now in terms, oh, actually that's kind of pretty accurate. That's kind of a funny angle to get accurate colors. Yeah, I pulled this because I thought it'd be really fun for like a Halloween-y kind of monochromatic design. It's very, yeah, it's very Halloween-y. You've got a kind of a super modeled, grungy piece of fabric, which is awesome. That really speaks Halloween to me. And then a fun orange floss to go with it. So that's the first combo I'm going to be putting up onto the website. The next one, I really had to dig around for this piece of fabric. I knew it was around here somewhere. So I've got a half yard of this beautiful dark green, kind of dark turquoisey, super mottled. It's a 40 count. Absolutely gorgeous. It was hiding, but I knew it was there. I can't remember the name of it. I don't think we have it up in the shop anymore because this is likely the like very last of it. And I really love like a tone on tone moment. So I kind of saw the green turquoisey colors in the fabric, and then was like, let's do a turquoisey floss. So that's, this is a floss called Cyanora, but like cyan, the color, aura. It took a few people at the workshop to get that because they were reading it as like cyan aura, but the joke is cyanora. So yeah, I thought this was kind of cute because the tones of the floss and the fabric play into each other really nicely. Let's see if I can get it to, no, the floss is actually a little bit more green toned than this in real life. It's looking pretty icy blue in my screen right now, but again, I will do my very best to make the photos for when I put these up on the website to be as accurate as they can be. So this is the mystery one-of-a-kind 40 count with Cyanora. I have 1.5 yards here of 32 count boot cut even weave with sort of differing levels of modeling depending on the piece, but the tone of these are really beautiful. I am an even weave stitcher myself. We don't have a lot of 32 count even weave at the moment. But yeah, it's such a beautiful blue gray, really, really nice even weave. And so I have 3 mini hanks. This floss actually never got named, so it's just labeled Very Light Blurple, which is just describing the color of the floss, but it doesn't have an actual name yet. But I've got 3 mini hanks of this Very Light Blurple, and I have 1.5 yards of this 32 count boot cut even weave. So I'm going to list 3 of these kits because I've got enough to do 3. And then last but certainly not least, I'm going to be so sad to see these mini hanks go because they are actually one of like the very first mini hanks we ever had, and it's just such a beautiful color, and it's unfortunately one of a kind. I really deeply wish that it was not a one of a kind because it's so pretty. It's called Sorrel. It's like a dark sort of yellow green. It's super variegated. It's got some kind of golden undertones to it in some sections. Like it's just so pretty. And I thought, you know, I've got a couple linen options, I've got some even weave options, so why not have some Aida options too? So I've got 1.5 yards left of this gorgeous Aida called Fawn. And it's a really lovely, just neutral light beige. It's got a little bit of green and a little bit of orangish modeling throughout. It's just stunning. Both of these are just, it's so pretty. And who doesn't love a nice green and beige combo? Honestly, I'm obsessed with this floss color. It's so pretty. Like, the camera doesn't even do it justice, but yeah, it's just gorgeous. I was thinking like, you know, something like forest themed or like fairy tale themed would be so cute with this. Or Halloween as well. You can do green with Halloween, right? But yeah, I hope that these get snatched up. I think that they're gorgeous. They're gonna stitch up something beautiful. If you want suggestions for charts for these, if one of these color combinations speaks to you, but you're like, I don't really know what to stitch with it, please let me know. I can try to help you come up with something. These are just some ideas. I mean, I think something like Modern Folk Embroidery's Winter Kaleidoscope would be gorgeous on the boot cut even weave with that like very light blurple, really icy purplish blue color. I think that would be gorgeous. And that's the only one I can come up with off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, I am always happy to help come up with different color combinations for projects. And all of these will be on the website around the same time as the conversions. So tomorrow, Friday, July 26th, around noon. Mini hanks are already 10% off in the price because it's 24 skeins of floss. It's kind of like a bulk discount. So yeah, these fabric and floss combinations will be off for an additional 10%. So yeah, I will actually, I think just because I've been struggling so much with getting this camera to recognize color properly, I am just going to quickly add a little slideshow of the photos that I take for the listings after this clip, just so that you can see as accurately as possible what these combinations actually look like, because they're way different in person. This is Sorrel on 18 count Fawn Ada. This is Rhymes with Orange on 36 count Rustic Pistachio. This is Cyan Aura on 40 count Dark Teal Linen. And this is 32 count Bootcut with very light Blurple. So that is all from me for today. Thank you for letting me grace your screens. Thank you for listening to me ramble about floss. I could go on and on all day about floss and fabric. I absolutely love pulling floss for people. So again, if you want a custom conversion or even just some suggestions on a color or two, do not hesitate to reach out to me, Hannah at Evertote.ca. And you can find me on Instagram at Flossboss Hannah. And of course, all of these products will be available on the Evertote website, which is www.evertote.ca. And they will be available Friday, July 26th at noon. I hope you all have had a nice week and that your summer's been treating you kindly, and I look forward to doing another floss tube sometime soon, I hope, if Caroline will let me. All right, ta-ta for now.